We've got to remember that this is not just one parcel that this is allowed on. This is also allowed north of Grassy Point Road for those marinas. So any of the town's existing marinas could come in if they have the 5 acres and apply for this type of mixed-use development. As long as they provide the waterfront access, they adhere to the dimensional requirements, they provide the mix of uses, the parking requirements, all the elements of zoning, they can apply for it. So that constraint doesn't necessarily apply to the Grassy Point Road, but for the Hudson Drive, that is a recognized constraint of that area that will have to be overcome for them to come in and apply for the zoning. So they will have to ensure that fire access is available to the property, as is ambulance and police service, even during storm events and flood events. So with that said, I would say at this point, if you would like to continue the public hearing, I did notice that Mr. Marr is in the audience, so if he has any further concerns, he could raise them here. And then after the public hearing, you also have a draft resolution if you're disposed to adopt the local law.
Okay, at this time, if there's anyone that cares to speak at the public hearing, you just raise your hand. Come up, George Convict.
Good evening. I'm George Convict, 597 Old Gate Road, and president of Space. I was at the last public hearing and I made some brief comments because I had not had a chance at that point to review some of the documents that I had asked for under Freedom of Information law. And since that time I've had a chance to look at it. There's a lot of good things in this plan. I have some concerns as well that I tried to indicate in the letter, so I'll read the letter to you. I support the idea of revising and improving town zoning along our local Hudson River waterfront for the viability of the marinas and for economic development. But I do object to a process that shortcuts the review and updating of our local waterfront revitalization plan, the LWRP, with proposed zoning that is not compatible with that plan and instead seems to largely cater to the request and financial benefit of a single landowner while ignoring constrained roads with flooding water, flooding, water demand, sewer capacity, and infrastructure issues, and could later become a significant environmental and safety problem and expense passed along to the taxpayers of Stony Point. I was a member of the local waterfront revitalization committee in 1994, so I have some personal understanding of what that intent and purpose of the LWRP is: to promote water-dependent or water-enhanced access end uses such as boating, fishing, pedestrian and bicycle trails, picnic areas, and scenic overlooks. The plan never called for the construction of condos or restaurants in the protected waterfront or PW zone. And you can see the LWRP section 2-48, which indicates that. In fact, in a memo sent by the town planner to the Stony Point Planning Board, the New York State Department of State Coastal Assessment Form indicates that yes, the proposed action will be located in or have significant effect upon an area included in an approved local waterfront revitalization program. And that's a memo from the Stony Point Planning Board, to the Stony Point Planning Board from Max Stack, town planner, on February 13th, 2015. For the town planner and town planning board to admit, on one hand, that residential or condo development along the waterfront was not specifically contemplated or allowed in the LWRP, but because condo development provides waterfront access, it is also not precluded or prevented, raises a double standard and questions whether or not the town of Stony Point is simply bypassing the intent and purpose of the LWRP for its own convenience as lead agency, instead of making the required updates to the plan. And the Stony Point Planning Board letter from Chairman Gubitosa, March 4th, 2015, that Max referred to was the planning board's indication that they believed that the plan was in compliance with these new zoning regulations that was issued on March 4th. Well, it was understood that the planning board will review a site plan for all proposed development on a site-by-site basis, I am suggesting that the town must first update the LWRP before amending the protected waterfront or TW zone to ensure a more comprehensive review that considers a number of significant issues not fully addressed in the current environmental assessment form. Those include traffic, the potential for multiple restaurants and up to 350 condo units within the PW district, an area that regularly floods, could add significantly to the traffic impacts along the waterfront, as well as ingress and egress, especially during the summer boating season. Since the USG plant and the LJ Kennedy are not currently in operation, how will these properties, when eventually reused, impact future traffic patterns and volumes in the zone if the zone change were granted to permit higher density of development in the area? Number two, financial. While the marinas are important to the town and should be permitted in order to be economically viable, this proposed zone change would significantly increase the value of marina property overnight for the benefit of the marina owners, while potentially shifting higher costs for taxes to the residential and business owners, donor tax base in Stony Point, to pay for necessary future road, sewer, and infrastructure improvements. Water demand. The town's environmental assessment form does not address the potential water demand of multiple restaurants and up to 350 condo units to United Water's existing water supply. In light of the fact that the New York State Public Service Commission recently rejected United Water's proposed Hudson River desalination plant in favor of greater demand-side management, which is currently under review by the Rockland County Task Force for Water Management, the question of this proposed zone change on existing water supply should have been addressed in the EAF and was not. Sanitary sewage capacity. Does the current capacity of Stony Point sewer system allow for projected capacity of additional multiple restaurants and up to 350 condo units? If the town of Haverstraw does not renew our current contract with the joint regional sewer plant, would the town be able to handle the additional sewer capacity required to build higher density under the revised zoning? The Champlain Hudson Power Express and CSX Railroad. How will this proposed zoning be affected by development in or near the right-of-way currently permitted for the construction of a 1,000 megawatt Champlain Hudson Power Express? When we combine the fact that this high-level voltage electric cable will pass in close proximity to the CSX Railroad bomb trains, which now pull volatile bacon crude oil regularly through this area, it raises safety concerns that a derailment could become the lit match that causes catastrophic devastation to property and loss of life in close proximity to what would be, under the zone change, higher density residential development. This potential impact has not been adequately addressed in the environmental assessment form. And in summary, while space welcomes reasonable amendments to our town code that would allow new development along the town's waterfront, the scope and size of multiple restaurants and up to 350 condo units would be a significant impact that is not fully being considered and is not consistent with the current local waterfront revitalization plan. Issues concerning increased traffic, cost, water demand, sewer capacity, and the impact of the CSX rail and chippy electrical cable, along with possible future expansion along that industrial transportation corridor, needs to be considered and addressed now before any zone change permits are granted for expansion in the PW zone. The town of Stony Point needs to properly assess and protect our public access, development potential, and existing tax base within the waterfront now, because it is one of our greatest recreational and commercial assets for the future of the town. Thank you for the opportunity to comment.
Thank you, George. Is there anyone else from the public that wants to speak on the waterfront? Sir, just come in and say your name and your mic.
Good evening. Warren Joyce. Drew Joyce Boston, Stony Point. Been a resident here for about 7 years and had business here for 20 years. I'm welcome some additional assets here to keep families here. I can't imagine how it would be bad for anyone having some more development, rezoning this whole area, making so we finally have access there, like Ms. Babcock said earlier. We can't use that waterfront right now. but that'll be rezoned parks, be a place to go fishing, a place to go to. Increased taxes from the businesses, a place where families go, parks to hang out with, and restaurants to go to. So I welcome anything that we can do to help bring some new business to the town, get something moving. As Mr. Thomas said, since 1994, it's been sitting there, probably decades before that. My entire life, we don't have access to that park. This Babcock remembers it from before that. Be nice to be able to go back down there again and start using our town.
Thank you, Mr. Joyce. Susan?
Susan Fulgaris, 87 Moth Farm Road. I agree with everything that everybody just said. However, there are about 15 homes down there that are going to pay the price for everything we've just said. In order to improve the waterfront, you're going to have to build the road up. It's going to make all those houses on the west side buckets, basically, because you're going to have to raise the road 5 feet. So you're going to give them a wall in front of their houses 5 feet. For progress, somebody pays the bill. Somebody always pays the bill. So as we develop this as a foregone conclusion, I would really ask that you give consideration to the existing residents that have paid their taxes, that have lived there for lifetimes, and that will now be the ones with their property values, their forever homes, 5 feet under, because in order to build the waterfront, we need to raise the road, and somebody's got to pay the price. We need to pay attention to how we develop. We need to bring in good, clean ratables. We need to be able to allow the people who bought the property to develop. But we have to understand the cost. There's about 15 families down there that are going to pay it. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan. I guess I have to make a comment. There's been no mention of building walls in front of anyone's homes down there. It's not the case, and I don't believe we can raise the road 5 feet. I know this was something that was mentioned in the New York Rising Committee that you were part of. And I had a meeting this afternoon with members of the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery, Gloria Board, and the RFQ that went out, I believe it was like a month ago, came back, we opened it today. 5 members are doing studies on what can be done to help the residents down there. And we're not, certainly not looking to harm, we're looking to improve the area, not hurt it. And to sit here and say that we're going to be building 5-foot walls in front of homes is just ridiculous. Okay, is there anyone else, public input? I shouldn't say public input, no, input for the public hearing? Nobody? Okay. That being said, I'll make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. That being... I don't get to read the whole thing. It's up to you.
Just read the title. I'll move that we adopt the resolution, a local law amending the town zoning ordinance regarding the planned waterfront development, waterfront district, the PW district. Okay, you want some more details?
Right, do we need to read the whole resolution? The whole resolution will be available online. I mean, we can't read it, it's really, right?
It's several pages. I think we should make this available on the website.
Absolutely. First thing tomorrow morning, this will be available on the website and at the town clerk's office. So that's been in form of a motion now?
That's it.
Okay, there's been a motion, and I'll second it. And any discussion? Madam Clerk, would you have a roll call on this?
Council, Mr. Vasili?
Yes.
Mr. Jennings?
Yes.
Mr. White?
Yes.
Mr. Monahan?
Yes.
Supervisor Kim?
Yes. Thank you. Okay, that public hearing is over. And we will move on with our regular agenda. 1 and 2, we already crossed off the list. And number 3 is an employee payout. This is for retiring officers this, whose payout is in front of us. His hourly rate is daily rate for 6 sick leave, personal leave, holidays, and vacation. I'll make a form of motion for the payout for Officer Zayas, who retired 2/25/15, correct? Make that motion.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Number 4 is to declare weapons as surplus. This is when an officer retires, a weapon is surplus and given to the officer, I believe. Is that right, Chief? Oh, okay, and the PPA replaces the new gun for the department. Thank you, Chief. Make that form of motion to declare the weapons as surplus. There's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Okay, number 5 is to authorize maintenance supervisor skill path conference. This is a conference Mr. Salter asked to attend. We really didn't need to put it on here, but I just wanted to get it on here so we know what's going on. But I'll make a motion to send, that's $99 for a maintenance supervisor, Jared Salter.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 6, approve extended equipment warranty. This is something that we've had a machine, I guess it's about 2 years now, and I guess the warranty is up. And we just got notice, this is a machine that probably costs upwards of $100,000, I believe. How much? 56? Oh, that's not upwards of 100. Could have just let me go, huh? This is an extended warranty for 2 more years. It's been Mr. Hanson, he's the driver, the operator of the vehicle, and he said that any small little hose, or I'm not saying small hose, but could be some serious issues that if it does break, that it will be quite expensive, and he feels that the $2,200 a year for the 2 years would be acceptable. So I'll make another form of motion to extend the warranty for Pine Bush equipment for a total of $4,400 for a 2-year extension.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any discussion?
How old is this?
This is only 2 years old. I guess it came with a 2-year warranty, and I guess the extra is, yeah, I was questioning it to myself, Tom, but when they said, something small could happen, if the motor goes or whatever, you're talking $10,000. Yeah. Something like that. It's a small excavator. Yeah, it's the caboodle, the new, the little excavator. It just seems like a part. I don't want to be sitting here in 6 months go, oh man, we could have saved all that money for $4,400, but it does go for 2 years. And hopefully we don't have to use it, but it would be nice to make sure we have that. So there's been a motion and a second. Any more discussion? There was a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 7 is to approve the rehire seasonal workers at the golf course. Mr. Fusco has provided us with the list, and they're all in front of us. I'll make a motion to hire the names of the cart attendants, the starters, the pro shop, and the rangers that Dave has provided us. Let me just read this. Request proposal. Individuals work in operation. That means all these people were approved previously and were employed during the 2014 season, so they are all returners, correct, Mr. Fusco? And the 2015 hourly rate includes a 2.5% raise. I'll make that form of motion.
Make a motion.
All right, Jim, motion, I'll second. Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 8 is to approve telephone system for the golf course pro shop. Many conversations with Mr. Fusco about this. I know he's reached out to the 3 bidders with 3 quotes, and the cheapest came in. Where's the company? Central. Okay. Central Alarm and Telephone Corp. Hold on, read it over. Okay, Centurion. Is this the price? $4,913.14. Oh, I'm looking. Okay. Oh, sorry. I'm sorry. Centurion Telephone Sales and Service for a total of $4,800, which is the lowest out of the 3 quotes. I'll make that form of motion.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Not discussion, but I just wanted to comment that this is the same company that has every other, like the police department, town hall, courthouse as well, I believe, I'm not 100% yes. So, and we've had nothing but great things to say about this company, so that being said, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 9, discuss Belgian block paving for a golf course. I know Mr. Fusco and Mr. Javits, Councilman Javits, have been working on this for quite some time, and this is budgeted money, and
I'll make the motion for Alpha paving for the Belgian block curbing, the bonded price of $22,000.
okay, I will second that. We're going to do two motions here, Madam Clerk, simply for the reason that it's two separate accounts. Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And the next one,
The next one is for the paving around the clubhouse up to the Belgian block. It's under budget, at $34,900 bonded, so I would make that for a motion.
okay, and I will second that. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Javits and Mr. Fusco for the work done there, and I know it wasn't easy going out and getting bids like that, but it's nice to get that work done up there. We have a beautiful golf course, and we've got to keep it that way. Thank both of you. Number 10 is approve, Madam Clerk, I will give you the paperwork unless you already received it. I have the two separate ones here. Okay. Number 10 is the approved electrical inspector. I received a request from the New York Electrical Inspectors in DBA inspections on time to do electrical inspections in the town of Stony Point. Town board approval is required, and they are licensed in Rockland County under New York Electrical Inspections. So the company is New York Electrical Inspectors, DBA inspections on time.
Who does this now?
There's a list. Anyone can, you have to apply and have it. How many do we have in the town right now? Four electrical inspectors in the town. So anytime,
He's just
he's just adding on to the list.
Okay, electrician.
Yes.
okay.
Okay, so there's, I'll make that form of motion.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 11 is a NJPA participating membership agreement. It's not New Jersey, Pennsylvania. It's the National Joint Powers Alliance. This is something when we have our procurement policy that we have to go out to state bid. We go off state bid on a lot of things where we don't have to go out go out to bid for months and months. So we go onto the state bid list. This is very similar. So if it's not on the state bid list, we can go to this list. Makes it much easier for our department head. Makes it easier for our finance department. And unfortunately, if it's not on there, then we have to go out to bid. But this is, makes our lives a lot easier. This is I believe the town of Haverstraw is on this, up Marshtown. All our local towns and counties are getting on top of this as well. So the more that join, the cheaper we're going to be getting things. That's how I'm looking at it. So at no cost to the town, I'll make the motion that we allow the supervisor to sign the membership agreements that's in front of us.
Second motion.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 12, authorized to go out to bid for day camp bus transportation. That is in front of us, and that will come back. We have to go out. Is there dates?
No, there's no dates.
Okay. Okay, I'll make a motion that we go out for bid for the day camp buses.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? Joan, we have to put a time, or is that the new thing that you set the time? I mean, the return date? Okay, apologies. Okay, so there's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 13 is a request of the North Rockland Crew Team. This is something that they've been doing for many years now down at Riverfront Park, and they're requesting, as they always do, from April 6th to May 30th, to use the park to store their, I don't want to say boats, I know they're called something. Skulls? Skulls, is that what it is? To store their skulls, so the insurance paper is here through the high school, through the school, North Rockland School District, I should say, and I'll make a motion to, from April 6th to May 30th.
Second.
Motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Number 14 is a resolution that we're not passing a resolution, we're going to set a public hearing, but I'd just like to explain what it is. We've had a few complaints around town about a lot of garage sales. Now, we're not against anyone having a garage sale here and there. However, every weekend is just unacceptable, and it's a nuisance to the neighbors, it's a nuisance to the whole area that the garage sale is there. So what we're going to do is pass a local law to enact new local law on garage sales and yard sales. So all we're doing tonight is setting the public hearing, and that will be for April 14th. So I'll make a motion to set the public hearing for the local law, to enact the local law for garage sales.
Second.
Then a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And I believe there's an add-on turn it over to Mr. Vasili.
Sure. As you know from Susan, we are in the midst of planning our 150th anniversary celebration here, which will run from March 2015 until March 2016. The Rockland County Times has graciously offered to assist us in the promotion of various events and activities that the committee, the Sesquicentennial Committee, will be putting together. And so I would like to make a motion that the Rockland County Times be designated the paper of record for the Stony Point 150th birthday anniversary celebration.
Second?
Okay, thank you, Tom. Thank you, Carl. There's been a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Anything else? Okay, I'll make a motion to go into executive session to discuss litigation.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And there will be no votes tonight. Go here.
Anybody wants to buy a road truck, come on up. Road truck.